The pumpkins glowed on my $12 million Alabama ranch as laughter echoed through the night, until she arrived. Karen, clipboard in hand, marched toward my family's Halloween picnic like she owned the land. She thought I was just another rule breaker. She had no clue I governed every HOA in America. The autumn air was perfect, cool, crisp, carrying the scent of hickory smoke and cinnamon cider. My wife, Laura, spread the last checkered blanket beneath the oak tree as our grandkids darted around in tiny vampire costumes. We'd spent months planning this family Halloween picnic. It was meant to be simple: pumpkins, laughter, and freedom. Our ranch stretched 12 acres across rolling Alabama hills. Horses grazed lazily beyond the fences, and my white farmhouse gleamed under strings of orange lights. For a man who'd spent his life buried in HOA bylaws and property disputes, peace was rare. Tonight, I finally had it. Until I saw the black SUV crawling up my gravel drive. The headlights cut through the laughter. Doors opened, and out stepped a woman in a beige blazer, sharp heels sinking into the dirt. She looked around with the suspicion of someone searching for trouble. "Excuse me," she called, striding toward the tables. "Who authorized this gathering?" I turned slowly. "Authorized?" I asked, half smiling. "Ma'am, this is private property." She frowned. "Private or not, this land falls under Maple Ridge HOA jurisdiction. Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who've faced unfair HOA rules too. You can't host public events without prior notice. There have been complaints about noise." My wife looked confused. "This isn't Maple Ridge," Laura said gently. "This is Mitchell Ranch, outside your HOA boundaries." Karen crossed her arms. "That's what everyone says until we verify the plat lines. If you don't clear out, I'll have law enforcement handle it." I exhaled slowly, calm but amused. My family fell silent, watching me. "You're welcome to make that call," I said. "But before you do, maybe check who you're talking to." Karen cocked her head. "And who exactly are you?" "Thomas Mitchell," I said, offering a polite smile. "Chairman of the National Homeowners Association Governing Council." Her confidence flickered. You're bluffing." "No," I said quietly, "I'm the man your HOA reports to." A tense silence spread through the field. Even the crickets seemed to stop. Karen's lips tightened. "Even so, sir, everyone must follow community standards." "True," I replied. "But tonight the standard is family." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Karen's expression darkened. "You'll regret mocking me," she hissed, stepping back toward her SUV. I watched her leave, her taillights disappearing down the dirt road. My wife whispered, "She'll be back." "I know," I said, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. "And next time, she won't come alone." The morning after the party, the peace I loved about the ranch had vanished. My phone buzzed nonstop, emails, calls, HOA notifications. Something was off. Laura poured me coffee, worry in her eyes. "Tom, you've been frowning at that phone for an hour." I turned the screen toward her. "Look at this. An official notice from Maple Ridge HOA. Violation, unauthorized event on community property. Fine, $25,000. Hearing scheduled Monday at 9 a.m. Laura nearly spilled her mug. "They can't be serious." "Oh, they're serious," I said grimly. Karen filed it at midnight. I stepped outside, looking over the hills where dew shimmered on the fence posts. The woman had nerve. My ranch sat 2 miles beyond HOA jurisdiction. It wasn't just bold, it was stupid. But then I realized something worse. The HOA's complaint had included a map, a forged one, showing my ranch boundaries conveniently redrawn into their community. She falsified county records, I muttered. That's federal. Later that day, 2 trucks rolled up. City contractors. One man got out with measuring gear, the other with a clipboard. "You Thomas Mitchell?" "Yeah. We've been ordered to survey the property line, HOA request." Laura stepped beside me, jaw tight. "You can't do that without authorization." The man shrugged. "Ma'am, We got a signed order. He pointed to the bottom of the form. Karen Edwards, HOA president. My blood simmered. I could already see her smirk in that signature. I dialed my lawyer immediately. Start recording everything. This is about to get messy. By Monday morning, the fight had gone public. Local news vans lined the rural road outside my ranch gates. A reporter with perfect hair was already rehearsing. A $12 million ranch under dispute. HOA claims unlawful occupation. Laura stood beside me on the porch, arms crossed. They're making it sound like we stole our own land. Let them talk, I said, straightening my jacket. Karen wants a stage. I'll give her one. At exactly 9 a.m., my phone rang. A known number. I answered. Mr. Mitchell? Her voice was cool, deliberate. This is Karen Edwards. I'd like to resolve this quietly. I chuckled. Quiet doesn't seem to be your specialty, Karen. She ignored the jab. The HOA board met this morning. If you agree to sign your property under the Maple Ridge Covenant, we'll waive the fine and offer honorary membership. I laughed, low, incredulous. You want me to join your HOA? On land I bought outright 15 years ago? It would show good faith, she said smoothly. You'd be an example to others. Cooperation builds harmony. Karen, I said, voice firm now, I govern the system that governs you. I could dissolve your entire HOA before lunchtime. Her tone shifted, silk turning to steel. You may have power in Washington, Mr. Mitchell, but here, this is my territory. Either you comply, or the next letter comes from our attorney. The line went dead. Laura looked at me, uneasy. What's her angle? I slipped my phone into my pocket, gaze fixed on the rolling hills. She's not after land, I murmured. She's after power, and she thinks she's found my weakness. But she hadn't seen the real game yet. The following week, I took Laura into town to clear our heads. We stopped at a small diner, her favorite spot for peach pie and quiet mornings. But as soon as we walked in, conversation froze. People turned. Phones discreetly lifted. On the television behind the counter, Karen's face filled the screen. She stood in front of my ranch gates giving an interview. HOA rules exist to preserve community standards, she declared proudly. Even powerful people must respect the law. Laura exhaled, shaking her head. She's painting us as villains. I watched her face, the exhaustion, the hurt, and felt something shift inside me. I'd faced senators, governors, even billionaires trying to bend HOA law for their gain. But this was different. This was personal. That night, my eldest son, Ryan, drove down from Atlanta. Dad, he said, sitting beside me by the barn fire, you don't have to fight this alone. I smiled faintly. I appreciate that, son, but this isn't just about land. It's about showing people that bullies don't win just because they scream louder. Laura joined us, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. She's underestimating who she's dealing with. Ryan looked between us. I'd seen hundreds of these in my career, but never with my name at the top. Laura placed the letter on the table, voice low. Tom, what if they win? What if the county believes her version? I paused. They won't. But even as I said it, a seed of doubt stirred. Karen had somehow gotten the forged maps filed through a county contact. She had influence I hadn't anticipated. That night, while everyone slept, I sat in my office surrounded by stacks of legal codes and land titles. The walls felt closer, the silence heavier. For the first time in years, I felt the faint tremor of fear. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You built the system. Now let's see if it protects you. K.E. I tightened my grip around the phone. My reflection in the window looked older, wearier. Maybe she was right. Maybe the rules I wrote had grown too complex, too slow to defend the people they were meant to protect. Laura appeared in the doorway, eyes soft. You can't carry this alone, Tom. You're not fighting for a title. You're fighting for truth. Her words hit deeper than she knew. Outside, thunder rolled across the hills. A storm was coming, not just in the sky, but in the courtroom. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I'd written the ending I wanted. The night before the court hearing, the storm finally broke. Rain slammed against the ranch windows, wind howling like a warning. Laura had just tucked the grandkids in when the phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Karen. It was the sheriff. "Mr. Mitchell?" His voice came through static. "There's been an incident near your property line. You might want to come down." I threw on my coat and drove through the downpour, headlights slicing through sheets of rain. When I reached the southern fence, flashing lights painted the mud blue and red. A black SUV had skidded off the narrow road, crashed straight into my fence, halfway down the hill. Officers were huddled around, and when I saw who they pulled out, my heart sank. It was Karen. She was soaked, shivering, her blazer torn. Don't touch me," she snapped at the paramedics, but her voice broke mid-sentence. I knelt beside her anyway. "You're lucky to be alive," I said quietly. Her eyes flicked toward me, half fury, half disbelief. "Why are you here?" "Because it's my fence you hit," I said, glancing at the shattered wood. "And because no one deserves to die over a property line." For a moment, her expression softened, pain, maybe shame, but then it hardened again. "This changes nothing," she muttered. The sheriff sighed. "She's refusing hospital transport." As they lifted her into the patrol car, I looked back at the wreck, the twisted metal glinting under lightning. This wasn't victory, it was a warning. Karen had just been forced to face her own limits. And I had just been reminded that battles like this always cost something. The courthouse smelled of old wood and rain-soaked coats. Karen sat across from me at the hearing table, her wrist in a brace, her eyes distant. The once flawless woman who'd marched up my driveway now looked tired, almost fragile. The judge called the room to order. Case of Maple Ridge versus Thomas Mitchell. "Let's begin." Karen's attorney rose first, confident. "Your Honor, the HOA asserts that Mr. Mitchell's property falls within the extended community boundary." I interrupted. "With all due respect, Your Honor, those boundaries were altered illegally." The judge frowned. "Do you have proof, Mr. Mitchell?" I stood, placing a single folder on the bench. Signed records from the National Homeowners Governance Council, authenticated land plats, timestamps, and the digital chain of custody. All show tampering. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Karen's lawyer went pale. The judge flipped through the pages, nodding slowly. "It appears the HOA submitted falsified documents. Case dismissed." Karen froze. Afterward, outside the courthouse, rain still fell lightly. She approached me, hesitant, pride wounded but still standing. "You could have destroyed me," she said softly. I looked at her, voice even. "You did that yourself. But you can rebuild, Karen. Just stop building fences that don't belong to you." For the first time, her eyes met mine without hostility. "Maybe I forgot what this was all supposed to be about," she murmured. "Community," I said simply. "Not control." As she turned to leave, Laura stepped beside me and whispered, "You didn't just win a case. Later, as the kids ran through the fields, Karen turned to me. "You could have humiliated me, Tom. Why didn't you?" I stared into the fire. "Because power is only real when it heals. You don't teach with punishment, you teach by example." She nodded slowly, eyes glistening in the firelight. "Maybe that's what real governance looks like." I smiled. "That's what real community looks like." As the night deepened, fireflies drifted above the grass, flickering like small stars, tiny beacons of forgiveness. And I realized then that victory wasn't the courtroom win or the headlines. It was the quiet peace that comes when the fight is over and the world learns something from your scars. If someone falsely tried to take away what you built, would you fight for revenge or for understanding? Comment below what you would have done in my place.